Hello, crypto community. Jeff Kerdakis here with Jay Zhu of Loopring. Jay, thanks so much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So today is a super exciting day for you and your team. You guys have just released Dolomite. Can you tell everyone, what is Dolomite and what are the benefits that this is bringing into the space?
Yeah, sure. Dolomite is a very young and energetic team based in New Jersey. They just built up a decentralized exchange on the top of Loopring Protocol 2.0. They are fully licensed, which means like you have to do the KYC to be able to trade your DEX, to be able to trade your tokens on the Dolomite exchanges.
And what benefits is this kind of exchange going to be bringing over another exchange that does KYC? A lot of people may say, well, why would I want to trade here if it's, just as regulated, just as potentially centralized, or maybe walk us through, what are the benefits of Dolomite?
First is security because like most of centralized exchange they do wash tradings and it can go bankrupt, and but decentralized exchange is purely secure. All the trades are fully transparent.
Right.
There's no wash trading, no no what they call the rollback trade. So to be honest, because I've been in the industry for a while, so I know like they even those top 10 exchanges, they do a lot of bad things in the back end.
And that's probably why they're in top 10, or at least like ranked top 10 for volume. Because I think, yeah, you'd know of all people, about 95% of that volume on a lot of these exchanges is total fake volume. And like you say, you don't even need to trade it back and forth. You can just have it total fake volume.
Yes, I mean like to be honest, wash trading is not that bad compared to the other bad things because
Yeah.
they even manipulate the price insidely. So
hmm
yeah, especially those exchanges they do have future or margin tradings. They can easily like swap off all the trades in a second just by manipulate the price.
Right. And
And
I think we saw that on maybe it was Kraken less than a week ago where there was a flash crash down to $0 or something like that. And it's happened so many times. And so, how and the back end for these projects, what are they doing? Who's benefiting? And how is Dolomite protecting against something like that happening?
yeah, so because Dolomite is fully decentralized, so they won't be so all the trades, order books are the real trades, and the order book is a decentralized order book, so anyone can monitor the order book and the trades, and also there's no wash tradings. There will be only legit market makers.
hmm Which is great because transparency is something that this space needs so desperately, I would say. Unfortunately, though, I feel that a lot of people have these big altruistic ideas, oh, I'd love to have it decentralized and transparent. But at the end of the day, I feel like people care about really three things in the broad public. It's speed, fees, ease of use, and security. So maybe let's just touch on like the speed of Dolomite in comparison to other exchanges, as well as I guess that ties into ease of use and fees. How would you compare those three factors to a platform that most people are familiar with? Let's say Binance, for example.
Because we know the central exchange don't have any trade costs
Right.
because it's like the only cost is the what do you call the like maintenance fees or the customer support like the human resource fees. But for decentralized exchange, like all the trades are all the data and the computations is on the blockchain, so you have to pay the gas fees.
hmm
Uh, there's no customer support, which is there's good and bad side. Good is because there's no those labor costs, but bad side is you need to be educated to be able to use those kind of decentralized exchange.
Right.
Uh, and and uh, and the trades right now for the Dolomite, it's pretty much the same as the rest of the decentralized exchange, but it's slightly cheaper. It's slightly
hmm
cheaper with Loopring 2.0. But I want to emphasize is the Loopring 3.0, which we added the zero knowledge proof on the we added zero knowledge proof onto our protocol, by moving almost all the data off chain as well as all the computation off chain. So we can previously like Dolomite, the order matching is off chain, but the settlement is on the blockchain. But with the Loopring 3.0, like all the settlement and order matching are all off chain. Only the verification is on the blockchain, and the cost will be like almost 90% cheaper than the 2.0. So for example, right now the gas fee, it depends on Ether. Right now it's like $200 each. So each trade, the gas fee will be like the cost will be like 1 cent. Or no, sorry, it will be 10 cent.
Right.
But then uh, 10 cent per trade. So regardless of the size, whether it's like $100 or
Yeah.
$1 million trade, it will be the cost will be 10 cent. But with 3.0, the cost per trade will be like 90% cheaper. Will be like 1 cent, and we're still improving. So we are confident that before we're going to launch the 3.0 next month, we can push down the cost even lower.
Got it. So you're going to be essentially having lower fees than a lot of these centralized platforms, which aren't even doing on-chain transactions then.
Yes.
So you mentioned like potentially a downside is there's no customer support. So you could almost argue though that the centralized exchanges barely have customer support anyways. You send a ticket in and 1 month, 3 months later, maybe you get a canned answer from a robot. But it brings into a question, the difference in business models, I guess you could say, because every website or project or however you want to phrase it needs funding to be able to survive. So how does Loopring and Dolomite bring in a sustainable, because obviously you need to eat and to live, and you've been working at a year and a half to launch Dolomite. So where does this funding come in, and how does the economy sustain itself?
So Loopring and Dolomite are two separate projects. So Dolomite being founded, I think they raised almost like 3 million USD at the beginning of this year. And like my partner Daniel, he personally invests on them a bit, and then there's also investor from traditional VC funds, and also from university funds as well. They totally raised $3 million in cash this year.
Makes sense. And so for Loopring, just to give people a broader perspective if they're not as familiar, Loopring is essentially help facilitating in the development of these different exchanges like Dolomite, or where is that connection in between these two projects?
So Loopring you can think as we are API creator. We create an API to enable people to build up a scalable and secure decentralized exchange on the top of blockchain. So Dolomite is using our API to build the Dolomite exchange on top of Ethereum.
Got it. And so then what is your, if any, involvement in Dolomite? Because obviously, you're the co-founder of Loopring. So how does that tie you into Dolomite? Are you just, an advisor, or are you then part of the project? What is that link?
I mean, like for me, like, even because like my partner have been invested into Dolomite personally, and Dolomite we regard Dolomite as part of our ecosystems, and we also give them some bounties to help them to develop. And we also try to help them to like from community side and also from media side. Just because as for Loopring, it's like purely to B2B business, but we need to find people to like individual people to use our product. Then there will be the front end, which is the Dolomite and the other DEX. So it's like Dolomite is like our front end that connects the traders between Loopring and traders.
And so then is Dolomite taking fees on every trade, and then you're earning a percentage, or you just white labeled it from the get-go and now it's more of a hands-off style thing in terms of Loopring to Dolomite?
Yes. And also I want to mention one point is Um, like for Loopring protocol, we because you just ask how we fund our project Loopring, so
Hmm.
we have our own token that are it calls LRC. So LRC plays a big role in our protocol. It mostly comes down to staking. So staking to rewards, security, secure exchange, and reduce fees. Yeah, so like the first one, rewards, like anyone can stake LRC to earn like part of protocol fees, which is like almost 70% of the exchange, um, like 70% of the protocol fees of all exchange built on top of Loopring. So Dolomite, if Dolomite contribute their trading fees to our protocol, and then they have to pay certain fees by using our
Right.
protocol. Yeah. So the 70% of the fees will goes to our LRC stakeholders, and 20% goes to our Loopring DAO, which is not ready yet. But we are going to decentralize our community.
Hmm.
The 10% will be burned.
Yeah.
Also, as Dolomite itself or the other decentralized exchange, if they want to use our API, they have option by and the owner of the decentralized exchange or the owner of Dolomite needs to stake ARC for economic security and reputation. So if anyone can go to like the Dolomite, they can see Dolomite has a certain deposit into Loopring or smart contract. If they do things bad, then or if Dolomite run away, and the traders, the users still can get a refund or compensation from the deposit reserve or from the deposit
Hmm.
in the contract. Yeah.
Got.
Yeah, and yeah, yeah, and also if Dolomite or even market makers or high frequency traders they deposit LRC, they can also lower the trading fees. For example, if the default setting is says 0.1% and fees, but if Dolomite deposit or reserve certain or stake a certain amount of ARC, then they can lower the fees.
Right. Got it. Makes sense. So, one thing you did mention that I just want to touch on, regulations are becoming such a big issue in this space right now, and we're really going under the microscope, especially if, you're KYC customers, everything is, you're moving in a compliant direction. So, you mentioned that 70% of fees are essentially going to the Loopring token holders, if I heard correctly. And so how is that, in line with not constituting a security in terms of dividends? Could you walk us through how that works?
Well, we have talked to our lawyers before we give this kind of terms. So like all the regulation uh, was implemented under our lawyers.
Hmm.
Yeah. And also because Dolomite is a US-based company, and they have to do these KYC things to be able to apply the license.
Right. So, and that's interesting. So, you're US based. Obviously, you're not based in US. Why, out of all the countries in the world, the US is the most strict of them all? What possessed you guys to incorporate in the United States?
Well, well, I would say US is not the most restricted country yet
That's
because
fair, but it's up there.
yeah, China is like illegal though. You cannot.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it's that's the things like Chinese community also quite big in in these industries,
Hmm.
but uh, but like the government says token is illegal, but blockchain is legal.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to have to do blockchain or to develop blockchain without any tokens. Um, then everyone have to play like they can talk about a token and then it's a table. Like last week, there's Shanghai Blockchain Week. It's huge event, like probably the largest blockchain event in China. Like you see Vitalik, you see Gavin Wood, and look, they all have the tokens. Then they can talk to government, and the government or the university professor are happy to talk to Gavin Wood or Vitalik. Um, but if you are a local project and you issue the token, then it's kind of sensitive though. and they probably
Mm-hmm.
not that kind of friendly to you. So, but pretty much all the tokens, all the project issue have their own tokens, but they just talk about in this table. Yeah, but US is like very clear. SEC says, okay, here we have our guidelines or yeah, kind of guidelines.
Right.
So you have to follow. You can have your token, it's legal, but you have to follow certain kind of regulations. And yeah, if you went out of our if you cross the line, then you have to pay the fines.
Yeah, I think, if you're good in the United States, you're pretty much good across the world because, like you say, they have some of the strictest laws for sure. You have like India or China, much more strict than the United States. Um, so I think, yeah, if you're able to do it there, you can do it anywhere. And leading into that, since you are, considered a utility in the United States, how does that play into the ease of being able to get listed on different exchanges? I know Coinbase just listed a bunch of different tokens on their platform because, they're compliant with US laws. And how does that play in for Loopring?
Yes, it's also, I mean, like, uh, look, because yeah, I also saw the announcement not long ago. So Coinbase actually they have another like big announcement at the beginning of this year. They said like we are monitoring these 21 tokens, and the announcement from the beginning of this year was almost like ERC20 tokens, and Loopring is one of those 21 tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and now, like the latest announcement, which was last week, or I think, yeah, it was last week. Then it's pretty much all the blockchain project or all the tokens are like the public blockchain tokens. They kind of remove all the ERC20 tokens or what they call the DApp tokens.
Oh, I see. And so for that reason, Loopring was removed from the list.
Yeah, we were in the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, we actually we've been in contact with Coinbase. Pretty much the whole team we've been talking to Coinbase custody and the earn.com about the onboarding process. Yeah, it just takes time for us.
Right. Understood. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around, this distinction that they created on why we're going to onboard certain tokens, but not tokens who have different properties. Did you get any clarity on why that was?
We don't even we ask them. We ask the Coinbase people. They don't even understand themselves sometimes. I mean, like they don't inside they don't have very clear guidelines about listing process.
Right. They're
Yeah,
just
it's
they're just flying by the seat of their pants. Once they got one, they had Bitcoin, then Ethereum, they're like, the rest of it, let's just flood it on there.
yeah, but yeah, but the only thing is they have to make sure the project is the real project. They have it's a legit project.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's a legit project. They have the real product, and they have the legal opinion letter from U.S. law firm. Then, if you match all those three criteria, then they will consider you to be like listed on the exchanges.
You
Yeah.
got.
Oh no. And also, I want to mention the Binance US as well.
Oh yeah,
We
good point.
talked to, it's quite funny because Binance was under pressure by SEC, U.S. government, and then we talked to them like because we also worry about if the Binance US launch and our token not listed, and then Binance just told us don't worry about it because even BNB they BNB was listed on the Binance US in the last minute. It wasn't the plan.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't the plan. I mean, like they've been working so hard. They paying max. They
All right, so we're back with a new background now, Jay. Awesome. So, because I'm not too familiar actually, or I haven't looked into it recently, what is the status with Loopring and Binance US?
Like like Loopring is like our token is listed on the Binance, but
Yeah.
Binance um do receive certain pressure from the U.S. government that to ask them to handle or to give them certain information, especially about the personal tax or those confidential trading informations,
Mhm.
but they deny. So at the beginning, like last year, they denied it, and then but they because there's a lot of U.S. traders, a lot of U.S. people, American people are trading on the Binance, so they have to isolate or relaunch another separate exchange
Yeah.
under the U.S. regulations.
Yeah, makes sense. And I could talk about regulations all day. I feel like for me, it's super exciting because it's very cutting edge and relevant to people who are building. But so we don't bore the people who are listening. I'd love to move on to some more exciting stuff potentially. What are some partnerships that or maybe let's not go partnerships just yet. But what are some things that Loopring is working on? Obviously, Dolomite is one thing that has been in the work. 3.0 is coming up. But what are some other things that you're like, yes, this is exciting, where this is on the roadmap that people can be excited about?
Yes. So there's also another. Um, there are three more exchange are going to integrate with Loopring protocol. Uh, One in Hong Kong, one in mainland China. The Hong Kong one will cover the East Asia China, and it will be regulated under the Hong Kong government. So um, let's leave that first. Then talk about another one called WeDex. WeDex is they just recently funded 5 million in RMB, and they will start. They will be the first DEX that use Loopring 3.0, and they will launch in the early of I think it will be early of November.
Right on. Perfect. And so that was the second one. What was the third one? Sorry.
The third one is called Token Market. They are based in Europe, so
Hmm.
we will have the separate market and one DEX in each continent.
Perfect. And so that's you're working head down. Like, what does a day in the life for you look like right now?
I mean, like crypto life is like it's like 24/7.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's just you have to force yourself to learn so much things every day. I mean, um, like for me, like I was a Bitcoin miner back in 2013 or 14, then start to write the articles. Now I become entrepreneur in these industries. Um, and yeah, and maybe I don't know, maybe in the future I will become a exchange owner myself.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, you're
like
like the exchange aggregator. You own pretty much all of them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like our purpose, like perception, is to enable anyone to build a decentralized exchange on their own. So even like it's not decentralized. It's more like order book, to be honest. Like
Hmm.
because we have our smart contract there already. So anyone, as long as you can attract people to trade on your order book, then you can be a decentralized exchange on your own.
For sure. Yeah, what you guys are offering has a huge value proposition to the world. I see it going very successfully. On that note, what would you say would be some hurdles that you guys are trying to overcome right now, or some hurdles that you see people don't want to sign up because of this, and this reason?
Um, I still would say the entire industry is still small. No, hey, let's talk two aspects. First is the user experience. So the DEX, we try to make decentralized as similar as centralized exchange. So people
Hmm.
don't decentralized exchange. It's not that user. Most of decentralized exchange are not user friendly, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like to hold your own private keys already block a lot of people by using MetaMask, and also you have to also the trade liquidity is so bad That's what most of people complain about it. The price so high, the price is high, the cost is high. So people complains about it so much. So we're trying to make it as simple or as possible, as simple as possible, and as similar as like centralized exchange, so people don't feel it's decentralized exchange. And the second is to acquire people from outside the world. BKKT just launched today,
Yeah.
and in 3 hours, the total trading volume is like 5 Bitcoin.
Yeah, so crazy. Was that what you were expecting? What are your thoughts on Bakkt as a whole?
I don't know. I don't have expectation for that. But when I see the number of 5 Bitcoin in the first 3 hours, I was like a bit shocked though. I didn't expect that low though. I thought yeah, I know there would be all. I'm sure there will be a market makers, and also I'm also because all the trades, all the volumes are real volume, but I just didn't. I thought it would be something exciting, like people want to go there and trade, but it seems
Hmm.
no. So
And I mean, granted, it did launch, those first 3, 5 hours were Sunday at midnight in the United States. So, I mean, a little bit of leniency there, but for sure, it's like laughable numbers. This has been something that the crypto space has been looking at for over a year now and just anticipating as this momentous occasion. And then it launches, you see 5 Bitcoin of volume, and the price of Bitcoin stays flatlined at 10,000. It's hilarious.
yeah, so especially their target on the institutional traders, like
Right.
with
Yeah.
yeah, like even like 500 Bitcoins is like okay. If I see like 500 Bitcoin, I was like okay. 5,000 Bitcoin, I was like okay. 5 Bitcoin, I was like
Yeah, the only institution that like would throw around 5 Bitcoin would be like, Johnny's Donut Shop or something like that. That's the only institution that's throwing around that kind of money. That's crazy. I agree. It was so ridiculous. And maybe one more macro trend I'd love to get your thoughts on. Since you're talking, that you write articles in the space and you always like to stay up to date with the news. What do you feel is a net positive or net negative Libra in the cryptocurrency space?
I think in my opinion, it's positive. Um, I've talked to my ex PayPal's colleagues. Some of them like not my like direct connection, but like my ex colleagues. Some of them joined the Libra team. Um, like it's exciting. It makes the real world, the government, worry about the how to say that, because first is it brought attention from the major the world that start to think about the cryptocurrencies. Um, um, like I, I'm always trying to become a positive thinker. So I think it's positive because let more people knows about cryptocurrencies,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is good. So people can start to do some research about cryptocurrencies and what Bitcoins. Like think about your first cryptocurrency, what would be like? Most people will have the Bitcoins. So which is like I just see the data last week. Right now, for the entire world, there's only like a bit over 40 million blockchain wallets or blockchain address in the world. So
Mm-hmm.
that's tiny bit. Only like some people have more than 10 wallets, or some people have
Yeah.
multiple. So you can consider there's no more than 40 million people have cryptocurrencies. It's still a very small number.
Yeah, and which is in the additional challenge for a decentralized exchange because the centralized can make it seem so grandiose and they're trading billions of dollars on a daily basis. And the benefit and downfall of the decentralized exchange, or not downfall, but just the transparent truth is sometimes hard to bear for the exchange and for the projects who are on the exchange. But as you said, we're so new in this space now that it's only going to keep growing. And 14 million wallets. I think I read recently there was like 30 million Bitcoin wallets. So wherever the number is in between there, 15, 30 million, doesn't matter. It's still on the scale of 7.5 billion people in the world. there is just such a massive opportunity here. And so I think what you guys are doing is phenomenal and a real mover forward in the space. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, like me, also because I also I deliver a lot of workshop at a university, so I always tell those students, young generations, that I tell them try to, here is the something that our young generation can change the up generation's mindset.
Hmm.
So our tool, our weapon to change the world. Not change the world, at least you can raise your personal wealth.
Well, for sure. And allowing if 3.5 billion people in the world are underbanked, and so blockchain is something that allows everyone to have a bank account. And now you have options where people can pay, and if people can transact and trade on exchanges like Loopring, like one of these ones that Loopring creates, then I think that's phenomenal. So, there's really, I think we're fortunate to live in the first world and have a first world perspective of the benefits that is bringing in. But for like the majority of the world, I think it's over 50% lives on less than $10 a day and are underbanked. So it's mind-blowingly beneficial, and so I think we have a lot of good things coming ahead.
Yes, yes. So I do appreciate, like a friend of mine just bring me to a co-wallet launch party last week. It was Bobby Lee.
Yeah, yeah.
Bobby, so Bobby just has his a new product. It's called Ballet Code Wallet, and it's very simple. Bobby is a very intelligent people, very smart person. And what he working on is not like something like layer 2 or layer 3 protocol about scalability or about like securities. His idea is very straightforward. It's trying to make more crypto dummies or people who has zero experience about crypto into this world. Like he
Yeah.
create very simple wallet, called wallet, and introduce, and anyone can use that wallet by consume the cryptocurrency or transfer the cryptocurrency or buy stock cryptocurrencies. I think that's kind of I mean, I do really appreciate people like him working on the front lines to onboard more people into cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, because that's exactly what we need is to make it ultra easy for people to receive and then instantly send. You look at some of the biggest ones, Ethereum and EOS. If you receive an ERC20 token and you're new, well, now what you have to then go buy Ethereum and then put it in the wallet to then send the token. Or on EOS, you need to stake CPU, RAM, or I don't use EOS too much, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that. And it's like that is insanity. We need these solutions that are just like, okay, you receive, you can send. And until that comes, we're gonna be a very niche sector of the world, I feel.
Yes, yes. I mean, like this is why we have the decentralized exchange. We're trying to like like the first step or first application you have for blockchain, probably the wallet.
Hmm.
Then we the wallet itself don't have the values. We're trying to add the value into the wallet, so which is the exchange function of the exchange features to enable people to exchange tokens between each other, and also because Ethereum the throughput issues, and we're trying to solve this step by step.
Hmm. Yeah, this just popped into my head. What would you say would be the killer app in cryptocurrencies? We're talking about adoption and people coming in. What is going to be the first thing to onboard 1 billion people in the crypto space?
I would say, like my guess will be some sort of payment to
Mm,
that allows you to pay cryptocurrencies. It would be very similar to the wallet, or it can be a combination to like have the store value, uh, and you can store the token, you can pay. It's like crypto PayPal, or like this is what the Facebook is doing right now. The
yeah.
Libra or their own wallet. It allows you to pay and store. Yeah, it's pretty much like that.
Do you think Libra will be the first one to 1 billion?
It's I it's hard to be honest. They are too big, and all the government is eye on them. So it's hard for them to do that. But there's strengths and benefits. Good Libra has Facebook strengths because they have a lot of resource, but they also have downside, which is they're way too big. Like all the government is target on them. But if
Right.
you start from the bottom, says if there's a sort of some kind of startup start to do that in like Southeast Asia, like this is how the WeChat or the Alipay start. They
Right.
start from scratch, and to be honest, they did a lot of things in the gray zone, and which
Hmm.
the government don't really pay much attention on them. But once the government notice them, they are big enough, and the government changes regulation for them.
Right. Yeah, because they're like, okay, well, you've already been operating, and you're big, you're successful. We can't necessarily shut you down. I'm trying to rack my brain and think, has there been an instance where a startup has scaled and then the government has just said, okay, at now what you're doing, it's time to shut you down. I'm sure there's tons of instances, but I can't think of, do you know of any off the top of your head where that would be notable?
Uh, Not these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if not, I think it's just because like you bring a really good point that, starting small and then growing up is kind of a way around regulations, which is the strangest way to say things or to kind of conceptualize it. But I feel there's a lot of validity there that because
yeah,
of how big they are, there's so many eyes on them when they're trying to launch any project. It does sound like they're still going through with the idea, though, even against US recommendations. So we'll see how that goes.
yeah. I mean, like, I also, there's also a point that I want to mention is that I've talked to people from traditional financial industries. Um, they are kind of negative because they believe if the Libra is the last chance for the cryptocurrencies. If Libra fails,
Uh,
then they don't think it will, like none of the other exchange project will succeed. But me, like this is why I like the a younger generation like us. We think there's as long as 5% opportunity or 10% opportunity, we take the opportunities.
yeah.
We also think the positive side, not the like negative side though. Yeah, I think even Libra fail, there will be something else coming up. Like as a just I say, Alipay and WeChat, they are now big enough. They can't do much innovations, to be honest,
Yeah.
because there's too much conflict inside the companies. Like probably government has, some kind of um, governments start to trying to influence on them, and they are public companies. They can't change much, or it's hard for them to make some decisions. And same as those Facebook or Google US companies as well. So yeah, I would say some kind of startup, um, some kind of startup have a with some young entrepreneurs, young founders, probably uh, probably have the chance to succeed.
Yeah, and I really find it interesting, you bring up the generational mindsets. You have the traditional finance guys who are like, this is a binary success or failure thing. If Libra works, then we can see it going. If Libra doesn't work, it all comes down. Um, and for newer people who are more adapt to adaptation, really, and they're saying it's not necessarily that binary. It's like, well, we're providing a service that's potentially faster, cheaper, more global, it's just like, well, it's a logical progression in our society. So of course it's not going to die away. We're not necessarily fighting the system. We've just created a new one, and anyone who wants to can subscribe to it. And I find that very cool, that I don't think it's like a binary success or failure, that it's very much here to stay.
Yes, yes. It's even myself. I'm always trying to think about um, like I met a very young student. I met a very young guy at a consensus in New York, like in May this year. And I asked him, "What kind of token are you holding?" And he goes like, "I don't believe Bitcoin. I don't believe Ethereum. I hold Tron."
Yeah. Well, he's all about the hype. He just needs more announcements.
Yeah, yeah. But cause he's probably like under 20, like 18-ish, 19-ish,
Right.
and he's doing his internship, and so but which makes us to think about even those younger generation, what are their mindset, because
Hmm.
they are the futures. So um, yeah, it's I always yeah, try not to limit yourself, always try to hear different voice, and well, Tron's been there like top 10 project for a while. There's of course it being hyped, and there's a lot of kind of um,
What
I
would you
don't
say?
want to
Gray zones, yeah.
yeah, yeah, this also like Justin himself is a very I would say like marketing genius. So
Mhm.
if he can use his marketing skills to PR Ethereum or Bitcoin, maybe the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency can can and we can scale more. I mean, like from a branding perspective.
Yeah. And yeah, marketing genius, maybe. I feel that, being the son of the founder of Alibaba may have a little bit to play with it.
Yeah.
The guy's been able to put together a company, but it's certainly, he had all the right cards to play.
It's
Yeah.
right.
All right. Well, Jay, thanks so much for coming on, man. If someone wants to find out more about Loopring or Dolomite, or let's just go for Loopring, where would they go to find out or chat with the community or the team?
Well, like we have our Telegram group, so it's most active group we use. So if people have questions, they can come to our Telegram to ask. Also, we have we usually post our announcement on Twitter, um, and we also have the Reddit. So like for the international social media wise, then I would suggest the Twitter, Reddit, and Telegram.
Perfect. Right on. And so for anyone who's listening, we're also going to be doing a cryptocurrency giveaway for anyone who's in the Loopring community. So whether you're listening on Facebook, podcast, YouTube, or Uptrend, just check the description below. We're going to be hooking the Loopring community up with some free stuff.